Welcome to The Crust, where we talk to a local tradie, professional, industry worker, labourer and everything in between. Today on The Crust, we're joined by Larissa and we're going to be talking about
metallurgy.
So in a nutshell, can you tell our listeners what a metallurgist actually does?
I work out at the steel plant. And the metallurgy is the science of the minerals and turning it into an end-use product. So for us at the steelworks, it's turning the iron ore into steel, basically. We monitor the chemical inputs, the outputs, the quality and the recipes. So there's all sorts of different recipes of steel depending on the end use. So there's a lot of data analysis, looking at trends in data, understanding a step change in the plant that might indicate a problem. We also look at process improvements, so where we can improve the process and save a bit of money. Also where we can improve, so technology is always changing. So looking at new technologies with our alloys, our inputs, or our refractories, that sort of thing, keeping up to date with the latest steelmaking technologies.
You specialise in steel and iron, but there is also different flavours of metallurgy. So what are some of the other ones?
Absolutely. I'm more looking at a pyrometallurgy, being, the hot stuff, whereas there is a different stream called hydrometallurgy, which is using fluids to beneficiate the ores, so separate the metal from the waste material. There's also extractive metallurgy, which is basically crushing it down into smaller sizes and then separating the metal from the waste material in that way as well. So I've studied all three types of metallurgy when I studied through Kalgoorlie School of the Mines, but I definitely prefer the hot stuff.
So what does a day in the life of a metallurgist look like? What do you do? What are your hours like? You go to work in the morning, I'd imagine. What does your day look like?
So we get there pretty early, usually between 7 and 7:30. We look at the last 24 hours of production, have a look at the quality of what we've made, how well we've made it, and make sure nothing is out of specification, make sure it's all to customer requirements. If there is something wrong, we have to investigate, try and figure out what happened, make sure it doesn't happen again. For me, though, personally, as a metallurgist at steelmaking, I focus on the refractory side of things. So I look at our ladle performance, how our ladles have gone overnight, what's coming up to maybe coming out of service, any ladles that have come out of service early. Also go out and do some inspections on the lining, see how it's performing, that sort of thing. So the mornings are always really busy for us because we're doing all of that quality follow-up and problem solving, and sometimes you can spend the whole day trying to solve a problem.
I suppose it is a 24-hour process, so things that happen overnight, you get in the morning, what happened?
Absolutely, and normally if it happened on night shift, you might struggle to get some information, unfortunately.
So why did you decide to become a metallurgist?
So I was actually already working out at the steelworks. I'd been there for approximately 12 months. I was working in an administrative role and it was very repetitive. It was kind of dull. And I saw the team of engineers that I was working with, they were working on really cool projects, really exciting stuff out on the plant, and I was just kind of stuck in the office. So at the time, the business was offering cadetships where I could study university and also work full-time at the plant. So I was gaining hands-on experience almost like an apprentice, but also getting my university degree at the same time. So metallurgy was my number one choice. Number two was electrical engineering, which I'm glad I didn't get because I'm really, really bad at maths, and there's lots of maths in electrical engineering.
So how long have you been a metallurgist?
I graduated in 2014, so just under 10 years.
So from day one, how long did it take for you to become a metallurgist? It's not an apprenticeship, it's a uni degree, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a uni course, but I was lucky that I was working for the business at the same time, so it was a cadetship. I did it in 5 years because we had to part-time study. We couldn't full-time study, but I did do summer school and winter school. So I think a full part-time load, it would have taken 7 years. So
wow.
I managed to get it done in 5 just by doing those catch-up sort of courses in between.
So if you're doing it full-time, would that be 4 years?
Correct.
Okay. Oh, so like an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So what are some of the things you would do as a metallurgist that people wouldn't think would be part of your job description? People probably think, oh, metallurgy, it's all alchemy and science and whatnot. What are some of the things you do?
So I actually spend a lot of time on the computer, a lot more than I would like to, but data, it tells you the story of what happened. So I do a lot of statistical analysis to understand the process and what's going on. It's a lot more computer work than even I expected, I would say. I prefer to be hands-on and out and about, especially out in the plant with operators. I found that one part of my job description, and sometimes it's not always captured at uni, is you need to have good interpersonal skills to work with people that are operating on the plant, to sit with them and talk to them about the issues that are going on out on the plant. You know, if you can't confidently communicate with team members, then you're gonna struggle. And they don't teach that at uni. They don't teach you how to be a people person. And I think that that's something a lot of people don't realise. You can sit and stare at your book all day long, but until you get out in the real world and get that real world experience, it definitely helps.
Well, there you go. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. Mm-hmm. So what do you like most about the job?
I actually really like all the people that I work with. The team of steelmakers are a lot of fun. I really enjoy working with them. You know, they're really passionate about making steel. I'm really passionate about making steel. And we just have fun. We just have fun with it as well, you know. Yeah, it's really definitely the people. In terms of metallurgy, I love science, so it is really interesting, the science behind it and all that sort of thing as well. So that sort of keeps me stimulated and interested, you know.
So what tools would you use the most as a metallurgist, and do you have a favourite tool?
So, as I mentioned, I'm on the computer quite a lot. So Microsoft Excel is probably my number one tool.
Spreadsheets.
Absolutely. I've even got a mug that says I'm a freak in the sheets. Yeah, writing those macros and all that sort of thing. But also, I do a lot of measuring when I'm looking at refractory brick performance. So I will measure how much brick is left in a ladle to understand the wear rates on the bricks and all that sort of stuff to check the performance. So I would say my vernier calipers, they're probably my second most favourite tool. And then my laser measurement, that's pretty handy as well.
Yep, they certainly are.
Especially around cats.
Especially. So what's been a highlight of your career as a metallurgist, like job satisfaction or a good story about the job?
So one of the favourite roles that I've had in the business was when I was based at Steel Products and I was working with customers. And I really enjoyed that link between the steel coming out of the mill and then the customer using it, so fabricating it into a building or a car park or whatever. So I actually got to go to Melbourne and tour customer workshops and then go to some builds and see these structural beams getting put into place. So it was a bit of a sense of pride, you know, that us and the team at Steel Products had worked on these beams and they were going into Chadstone Shopping Centre and things like that. So
nice.
Yeah, that's really satisfying. And even just looking around at builds, if you look at the Wireless Super School, that's got the LSAS brand on it, which is Liberty Steel's brand. So it feels good to be part of something like that. I also helped design a low temperature steel for customer, so that was really good experience as well. I also got to present at a steelmaking conference. Now that was cool, a room full of nerdy steelmakers and presenting some of the work that I'd done. So that would have to be my top three.
That's awesome. So what advice would you have for those thinking about getting into this line of work, which is metallurgy?
I definitely encourage anybody who's really interested in science or interested in manufacturing to get into metallurgy or any stream of engineering. I think that it's where we're definitely lacking in Australia, especially females. There's only 2 female engineers in my department and we definitely need more girls on board. But yeah, I encourage anybody who has an interest to have a look and get into it, because it definitely opens up your world to so many more opportunities.
And metallurgists are needed all around Australia when you think the iron ore mines and the gold mines, etc.
Absolutely. I was lucky enough to study in Kalgoorlie and go to the Super Pit mine, and it's just incredible. You know, it's really cool.
Well, thanks very much for taking the time to come in and talk to us about metallurgy. Hopefully our listeners have a better understanding of what a metallurgist actually does on a day-to-day basis. And don't forget, if this career sounds like something you'd be interested in studying or training for, visit your local uni SA for more info on how to make it happen. Thanks, Larissa.
No worries, Sparks.